Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast, episode 4. My name is Omar Othman. I'm with my esteemed co-hosts Earl and Max. How we doing, boys?
We're chill. We love technical glitches that may or may not have caused this episode to start 30 minutes late.
You know what? The funny thing was, I originally thought it was Max, but I knew in my heart it was me. And it was me.
On this off on me. My Wi-Fi is
crazy, bro.
Nah, because it's just so crazy because I know, like, I have Ethernet, right? So I know, like, sometimes it's supposed to be the quote-unquote, like, the best way to connect your PC. And I was doing that, and I don't know what happened. I had to restart the router and everything, but I guess we finally got it to work. Usually you just plug it in and plug it out, but whatever. Anyway.
Tech support.
Yeah, tech support, literally. It's just like this whole time they were just lagging, and I'm the one that's like sitting here with my dick in my hand. But I don't want to make the whole podcast about this, obviously, but we do need to touch on it a little bit, only because we forgot about it our last podcast when it officially came out. But there's just so much confusion around the situation. Like, the first thing was, like, he was accused and he was arrested. Then the sister of the WNBA player came out and was like threatening him online. And then his girlfriend and his lawyer were like, this is not true at all. Like, we did not use abuse, or we did not use a certain word or something like that. And then the sister of the WNBA player came out again and was like, it's basically reiterating her threat. So, with this all being said, this is reminding me about the Miles Bridges situation, only because it was like it came out that what happened, and then later on it came out and she said, yeah, that didn't actually happen, like I was just mad or something, right? So in the lightest of words, what do you guys think of this? Like, do you guys think what's going on is going on, or do you think there's a lot of shady shit going on behind the scenes?
I can't speak on it. I don't know any of these people. I've never met Kevin Porter Jr. personally. Never met his sister personally. I don't know any of that stuff that's going on behind closed doors, and I'd imagine 99.9% of the population doesn't know anything either. So I'm going to put my faith in the legal system and that the truth will come out, at least to the best of, the ability of the justice system, and whatever ruling they come to, I think I'll support. I think the NBA should support that as well. I think that he should be suspended for now, just so that, because right now it's not a basketball problem, it's a personnel problem. So I think the right thing for the league to do is just be suspend him, and if he is acquitted in the court of law, then he can be reinstated immediately, go back to life as normal as a basketball player. And if he's not acquitted, then they can permanently ban him, which probably depends on obviously what he is found guilty of. But I think, if some of these allegations are true, I think a permanent ban would 100% be in line. So there's nothing much to say right now. I'm not going to speak on a situation that I don't know about and people that I've never met in my life. So obviously, we can dispute the facts all we want, but only a certain amount of people know that. And those people will be present in the court case, I'm sure. And whatever is decided in the court case is what I will buy as the truth.
Definitely, but I gotta say, it's easier said than done going back to normal, because after you're accused of something like that, majority of the population will not want to hire you for anything. So
if he's acquitted, then I don't see the problem with that. If the court of law finds you innocent.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't find that wrong either. But we've seen a lot of, like, NBA, NFL top talent being accused of stuff like this, and then ending up having to, like, digress and not go into their NFL or NBA careers because it kind of ruined their life in college, right? So
a lot of those are true. A lot of those cases are when they are charged with things.
Agreed, so
but that's rightfully so.
There's a significant handful where it's not the case.
I would say for the most part. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, like Zeke Elliott, I know he got, like, accused of domestic abuse back, I think, in 2017 or 2018, and he sat out part of the season, even though, like, I don't think he was found guilty. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, I don't think he was found guilty, but he sat out 6 games anyways, but he just came right back, and he was business. I don't want to say business like usual, that blasé, but he was allowed back. The Cowboys held on to him for another 5 years, and I don't think people hold it against him, at least as far as I can tell, because he was never convicted of it.
All right, that's a valid.
Like, obviously,
reason.
if this is false for whatever reason, like that definitely makes things weird, and like I said, it probably would be tough for KPJ to just transition back to business as usual. But innocent until proven guilty. I do believe in that. Innocent until proven guilty. You need to suspend him just because of the severity of the issue, but
Yes.
if he is proven innocent, then you can just immediately reinstate him. There's no harm. He's not going to be doing much basketball activity now anyway, so just suspend him just for the sake of it. That he shouldn't, the focus is not basketball right now, so I don't think there's a problem with suspending him from the National Basketball Association.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, it's one of those tough situations, man. Like Max said, right now, we gotta wait to see what the law is gonna say, man. Like, the thing about social media is, there's a lot of he say, she say type of stuff going on, and I just don't know which report like is 100% true. But what I will say from just my standards, which I'm pretty sure you guys too, like, I mean, if that is true, man, like some of the stuff that was coming out was just sick about the situation, man. Like just the different reports coming about what potentially happened. Like there's just no place for that. Like Max said, like if he's found guilty for this, there's no place for him in the NBA. And like right now, I feel like Adam Silver has done a bad job of handling this situation. Not to throw him under the bus, but even so, like even though we're waiting to see like what is 100% official or not, anytime allegations like this happen, anytime an arrest is like there's literally been a public arrest of Kevin Porter Jr. Like there should have been an announcement, Adam Silver, something along the lines of, hey, we acknowledge that there's been a situation with Kevin Porter Jr. Like Max was talking about this the other day, we were talking about it. But he used that example, like there's been a situation with Kevin Porter Jr. and he's suspended for just the time being, like just to put it out there that we see what's happening, we're following the case, and we're gonna keep the NBA updated.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my thoughts on it. But I agree with Max too. Like it's really nothing it's hard for me to have a full opinion on it because I just don't know anything. Like I don't know him, I don't know his family, I don't know his situation. But all I can say is from my point of view, if the situation is in fact real, it's sick. I won't be supporting that, him or anything he's got going on. But yeah, it's just a tough situation.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can find a solution to this problem. Yeah, hopefully all things work out well for this case. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it right now.
Yeah, it's certainly like a really bad situation. It's like being who I am, it's really like you look at something like that and you really think to yourself like what kind of low level human being would even think about that. And again, you guys kind of hit the nail on the hammer. We really just have to like wait and see what ends up happening because we really cannot tell what's actually going to happen right now because we have no idea of the situation. And yeah, you guys are right there. Let's get off of this really tough note because I don't want to spend all podcast on this. Ben Simmons, he's recently come out on Twitter and kind of said like he owes his fans a comeback season. And I mean, I've always been in the boat of like thinking, oh, Brooklyn can really turn the ship around with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons. That'll be dangerous. And then it ended up not happening. And then you know what happened? Everything just deteriorated in 3 years, like I said it would. Like it was beautiful.
The inferior team, so by being inferior, that is how it goes.
I gotta say, I was sitting on the couch in my family room at home, and I saw the news that James Dolan met with Kevin Durant. They offered him a deal. It wasn't a max contract because he would be injured. And then literally hours later, he signs with Brooklyn. I feel like I don't have to express the amount of upset I was. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I was so mad. I remember
that. I heard you. I heard you. All the way across the country. I heard a scream out the window. I was like, damn, that's so loud.
No.
But yeah, not to dwell on the past too much, but yeah, like I said, Simmons, he's coming out. He's like, I owe my fans a comeback season. I'm getting back to my full potential. I'm the player that I'm getting. I'm gonna be the best player that I can be. We're gonna run the East. Well, I don't think he said that, but like, he's hyping himself up, which like fair, valid. You're allowed to do that, but like every athlete comes into every season in the best shape of their life. Like, who says they're not in the best shape of their life coming this season? Like, it's just off-season hype. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. If Ben Simmons gets come out and cooking, then good for him. But, like, 99.9% of the times when you see NBA players hyping themselves up on Twitter, it's just, like, they're trying to make themselves believe it as much as anyone. Like, is Ben Simmons, really going to be all that? Like, maybe he will. But, like, I'm sure as heck not going to buy this. Like, guys, did you hear what Ben Simmons said? He said that he's in really good shape and that, like, he's going to be really good. Like, I'm booking it. Ben Simmons breakout season now. Because if you did that, then the entire NBA would be averaging, like, 80 points a game.
I just want to say that Earl is banking on Ben Simmons being good this year. He got him in
fantasy. That is true. Not because of what Ben Simmons was saying. He didn't like make a trade for Ben Simmons because he saw like a post of him looking jacked and saw his abs and was like, I need that on my team.
I need that on my team.
Look. Thank you, Max, for that plug. I drafted Ben Simmons because I knew before he made all these little social media reports, I knew he was gonna have a good season. I felt like the distractions with the James Hardens and the Kevin Durant's and Kyrie's of the world on that team, it was too much, man. They didn't have their roster was too stacked for him to run the position he wanted to run. He should for sure be running point guard. Max talks about this a lot. There's no way you should have a Ben Simmons on your team where he's running power forward and center. That's not his game, man.
I've been saying that too.
To play making, and Omar too. Like to take away his ability to play make, run the one, just facilitate the floor. He can't do that from the center position. And I think with this roster, with Mikal out there, you got Cameron Johnson as well. You got who's their center? Nick Claxton. I think he can really kind of run that team. My early predictions is I think he's going to average around 20 and 8. I think he's going to average around 20 points, 8 assists, maybe 5 to 7 rebounds. Yes, Max, I'm so sorry. You guys can clip this because when it happens, this is going to be a viral clip. No timeout. No. We're all press.
Timeout.
Average 20 plus points, 8 assists, and 4 or 5 plus rebounds. 100%. No doubt in my mind.
Where's Nick Claxton getting 20 points? Where?
No. I'm talking about Ben Simmons,
dude.
Ben Simmons.
Oh, you were saying Ben Simmons. Oh, you
No.
Oh, okay.
Ben Simmons. No. I don't know nothing about. No.
You said something about Nick Claxton and I said 20 and 8. And I was like, bro, what?
No, my fault. I didn't put a space between. I was just naming the roster and the stars around him.
Okay. So you're not predicting Nick Claxton to be an all-star?
Not at all. But who knows? But that's not my prediction for today. That was Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons numbers. My fault, guys.
Okay.
You weren't confusing. Max was just not following.
Yeah.
You weren't confusing.
Max will average. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Ben Simmons will average around 20 points per game, 8 plus assists, and 5 plus rebounds a game. I truly believe that. I think he's in a better space now. He has the freedom to kind of run that one spot. Only person really up there with him, Spencer Dinwiddie, but they can always move him to 2, in my opinion.
He's better at 2 than 1.
Yeah, he played with Luka at the 2, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Don't look at us like that, Max. You know he's better than a 2 as a 1.
He's a facilitator. He's a traditional point guard. I mean, he's a good shooter, but I feel like a lot of his strength is having the ball in his hands. Like, I'm not saying that I don't know. I just see them both as point guards.
True.
Take it for what it's worth. I think he's a better 1 than he is a 2. I like his playmaking, as opposed to just making him an off-ball ISO guy, which he can do, but he's faster. That's all.
If
I'm Brooklyn, I'm going into the season with Dinwiddie starting. And if Ben Simmons shows that is coming off the bench and he's cooking, and you think he can get back to the all-star caliber player that he was, then I'm either doing what you said and I'm putting Ben at the 1 and Dinwiddie at the 2, or I'm just bringing Dinwiddie off the bench and he can be the superstar.
Honestly, I'm bringing Cam Johnson off the bench. I'm bringing the other Cam Johnson off the bench.
Bro, there's not
Cam Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
Cam Thomas.
There's no situation. There's no situation where you should ease Ben Simmons into his role again, bro. It's not like we're talking about a rookie or anything like that. He's a vet with experience. I feel like if you start him at the point guard position and let him play his game, he can play his game. I feel like people are disrespecting Ben Simmons. Yeah, he had his problems. He had his injury bugs. Yeah, during that series, he took some shots. Well, he didn't take some shots. Yeah, but let's not act like he was not out there playing defense every night, not out there doing and playing his role next to Joel Embiid. He really got a lot of that heat during those series. Even though Joel Embiid was missing key shots and stuff like that, he was playing bad a couple games of those series as well. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, Ben Simmons, we'll just bring him off the bench maybe if he performs well in training camp. I think he's already earned the right to be that starting position, bro. I just don't see a situation where Ben Simmons should be coming off the bench in the NBA anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, the thing is, it's like I do agree with you that like Philly Ben Simmons took a little too much heat. But the problem is, like, since he has been off of Philly, he has not been anywhere near that player. Like, since he went to Brooklyn, he has been a literal shell of himself. Like, he dealt with a very bad back injury. Like, let's not understand this. Like, he has not been like back injuries can kill a career. Like, I know everyone looks at Michael Porter Jr., but like he's the exception to the rule, and people forget how good Michael Porter Jr. was supposed to be before the injuries. Like, a severe back injury can absolutely wreck a player's career. So since that injury, he has not shown that kind of play style. It's been a while. Like that series, I think that was 21, right? Where Simmons Simmons, that was his last year with Philly?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to ask. Wasn't Michael Porter Jr. the one that had the heart transplant?
No, that's Jeff Green. Jeff Green had I know Jeff Green had some. Maybe it was an open heart surgery.
I don't think Michael Porter
Porter has not had anything with heart that we know of.
Was it his back?
It was his back. It was back. He had like 3 or 4 back surgeries.
Is known for.
I can't remember if it was his back.
Jeff Green had open heart surgery, I think, back in like 2012, 2013, maybe around there. So that might be who you're thinking of, another forward on Denver. But back to my point about Simmons is like, I understand what you're saying. Like, he's deserved that right, but it's just been too long. Me personally, it's been too long since we've seen that Ben Simmons, and the fact that it's coinciding with this injury so much makes me think that player might be gone. But I think if you bring him off the bench, you'll know pretty quickly. I think it'll be clear, even in like limited minutes, if Ben Simmons is back or not. And if he is back, then yes, you can elevate him to the starting line. But it's been too long, in my opinion, for him to get a hall pass into. I don't
think so, bro. Like, if we're talking about Michael Porter Jr., we're talking about a guy, like you said, he is the exception of the rule, but he came off those back injuries so frequently. Like, he'll come in shooting, having his thing, and then he'll get out, go out for months at a time. Like, I don't see why Ben Simmons can't have his time to fully recover and come back after like a year or something of recovery time. I think Ben Simmons, not saying they're the same type of player, but their injuries are kind of similar. Like, as far as like back issues, and he already said like last season he was kind of playing hurt. But this is the first time I've ever heard Ben Simmons say, okay, my back right now is not a problem. I'm feeling 100% healthy as I was in Philadelphia. Like, we just haven't heard Ben Simmons say that in his era as a New Jersey Net, in my opinion. And on top of that, like, I feel like there was a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, my fault. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with that Nets roster, bro. Like the Kevin Durant, Kyrie, James Harden at one point. I don't even remember if James Harden was there when Ben Simmons was, but it was just a lot of moving parts and roster rotations that necessarily they didn't do a good job of like implementing him. Like I said, they were putting him at power forward and center, which is cool, yeah, but like that's not Ben Simmons' natural role. Like, he's not going to thrive playing as that position, in my opinion. So I think if you go into the season with the intentions of him being their starting guard and kind of letting him ease his way back into that role, I think that's the best way to do it. Throw him into the fire, let him be a starter. I think the days of coming off the bench and easing him into it, I don't know. I just think like he's a little bit more mature than that right now. I think you just throw him out there, let him do his thing, and just play in this system, bro. He has to play in the system as the point guard. That's the only way he's going to play good and thrive, in my opinion.
I mean, look, I think a duo Ben Simmons and Mikal Bridges can really go somewhere. I'm not saying that it's right now. I think Mikal Bridges would need to take a step in order for them to go somewhere. But as of right now, I think if Ben Simmons can get healthy, well, I mean, he is healthy. And last year, you can tell he was pretty hobbled. Like,
yeah, he said he's healthy.
Like
he said he's healthy, but again, every player says they're healthy.
Yeah,
like,
so did Julius Randle. He said he had he was the best mentally he's been all season.
Yeah, like we all know that's respectfully that's BS.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah, exactly.
No one's gonna go out there and be like, yeah, like I'm beat up right now, I'm beat to hell, like I'm playing on a bad ankle, bad finger, but like.
We gotta think, like, Ben Simmons is a guy who's literally said, like, his whole thing in the last couple of years is saying he has not been healthy. So the first time he's actually talking about his health and saying he's healthy, I mean, I will assume
that. We'll prove that.
We can't until the season starts, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you talk about like easing him in. In my mind, this is not like I'm bringing him off the bench, and he's got to prove himself again. In my mind, like I'm looking at his stats right here. Missed all of 21-22 because of a holdout back injury. Last season played 42 games. He got 33 starts, by the way, and played 26 minutes. So, I do agree that they were misusing him a little bit. But he had ample time on the court to show himself, improve himself. Put up 7 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on 2.5 turnovers a game. Obviously, terrible three-point shooting like always. Not mega efficient two-point shooting, and the free throws were worse than ever. He was a 43% free throw shooter. Even in his Philly days, he was 50+.
And
he's now dropping to like Mitchell Robinson levels.
Kevin Durant-led team, though, too.
I mean, yeah, but still, if this is if this is someone who should be starting on your team, I gotta see more than this. Like, this is the last we've seen of Ben Simmons since his Philly days. Like, there's not enough there.
We're saying the same thing, bro. All I'm saying is that he's healthy now. Like, he's saying he's healthy. Okay. I'm just gonna take his word for it. Like, we're looking at his season. Like, that's just like comparing like Michael Porter Jr. when he was injured and stuff like that. Like, he was not playing 100%. Because he literally said, like, even when he was playing those games, like, his back was hurting. Like, he had all those injuries. So when someone comes out, they're like, okay, maybe I'm feeling better now. Like, this is the first time. All I'm saying is, like, this is the first time we've heard Ben Simmons actively talk about his health in a positive way. Like, ever since he left Philly, he's like, yeah, I have back problems, or they're trying to force him to play even though he's kind of hurt. Like, he's going out there for them. So this is the first time I'm hearing him say, okay, I'm healthy. I'm feeling good. I've had good training this offseason and stuff like that. So my only point is I just don't think if Ben Simmons is saying he's healthy, part of the problem they're bringing off the bench because he was coming off that bad problem. So if we're talking about a healthy Ben Simmons, I just don't see with that roster they have, why would he come off the bench? Like, yeah, I get Spencer Dinwiddie, but like I'm starting Ben Simmons, bro. I'm not bringing a Ben Simmons type player fully healthy off the bench, in my opinion.
Obviously, like, if Simmons if he is that player again, if he is that guy that we saw in Philly, of course I'm starting him over Dinwiddie, no doubt. But he hasn't proved that. We don't know that that's what he's going to get. He says he's healthy. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. For his sake, I hope he's healthy. I don't want the guy to be in pain. I'd love to see that Ben Simmons return. But, it's Dinwiddie's job to lose right now. I can't just bench Spencer Dinwiddie because I'm assuming Ben Simmons is healthy. Like, if he is healthy, he will come off the bench and in half the amount of minutes he got last year, put up better stats. And it will be pretty clear that, like, okay, he's back, he's good to go. And at that point, okay, so 10 games into the season, 15 games into the season, you put him back in the starting lineup. Like, okay, everyone's a winner. But I'm not inheriting him that job based on a legacy that took place, like, 2 or 3 seasons ago. I can't, in good faith, like, do that to, like, Spencer Dinwiddie, who put up fantastic stats last year.
But I'm saying, like, as a healthy guard, bro, Ben Simmons as a healthy guard in Philly was one of the better point guards in the league as far as offensive production and defense. That's what I'm saying. Fully healthy. We haven't got.
We don't know that.
But I'm saying
if he's fully healthy, he can start. I gotta know.
But that's not our job to know, bro. If he's going into camp and saying he's fully healthy, I'm 99% sure he's not coming off the bench, bro. Spencer Dinwiddie played 2 guard when he played on Dallas. He easily could slide to the 2 playing with Ben Simmons. That's just a fact. So I don't think it's a win-all, be-all of Ben Simmons coming off the bench. I don't see any situation starting the season why Ben Simmons should come off the bench if he's healthy at all.
Yeah, I don't see them benching a top.
I just don't see that, bro. Like, even if they start together, I think that's more likely than one of the 2 coming off the bench, in my opinion. Like, we're not talking about like a team that's like fully, like, they have a whole bunch of stars. I don't think of Ben Simmons coming off a bench with a point guard-led team with Spencer Dinwiddie, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. Not saying he's bad, but I'm just saying, like...
Right.
I mean,
like, you know what I mean?
You got to look what they did.
Assuming health in all this. Like, you're assuming that he will be that Philly guard who's top 10 in the league. And I'm not going to argue that, like, when he was on Philly, he wasn't an all-star. But is he going to do that again? We don't know. It's not like a player who's coming off 5 straight seasons, no injuries, consistent performance. Like, we know what we're getting from him. He's probably the biggest question mark in the league, other than maybe, like, Russell Westbrook. Like, he could be anywhere from 25 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds a game to, like, 8 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, and 3 turnovers. Like, with that kind of, like, floor-to-ceiling ratio, you're not making my starting lineup. If you're starting for me, I know what I'm getting from you.
When we're talking about health-wise, you even brought that thing up. Like, when he came out, he missed, he only played 30 games? Of course.
Last season, he played 42 and started 33.
I mean, 42 games,
Didn't play.
He played terribly.
Yeah.
Because they were putting him at power forward and center. That's not his position.
Saying. We're talking about positioning too. Like, he's not playing his natural position. He's playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving two ball dominant guys when Ben Simmons is a guy who thrives with the ball in his hand, making plays for others. We're talking about two guys who thrive off of isolation basketball. So you're not going to be able to like see the Ben, and what were you expecting? Ben Simmons off a catch and shoot? Like, we know that's not his game, respectfully. So he's not gonna average like 15 plus points playing in that type of system unless they made it a clear thought to put him at the one, and stop being cheap and go get an actual center before Claxton kind of emerged as a better player, obviously. And just play him at the one, Kyrie at the two, KD at the three. That's not what they decided to do. They decided to go with these crazy small ball, whatever lineups and play him at the 4 and 5, which he sucked at, in my opinion.
But if he didn't have the ball in his hands, how did he record 2.3 turnovers a game?
I'd rather have Ben Simmons.
That's worse than Jalen Brunson.
Wait. I'd rather have Ben Simmons at his lowest than Spencer Dinwiddie at his lowest. You kind of have to. Have to look at it like that because regardless, Okay, wait. Maybe not his lowest, but like somewhere. Exactly. Thank you. I didn't want to say it because I have respect for Dinwiddie, but I'd rather have Ben Simmons at his lowest than Spencer Dinwiddie at his highest. Frankly,
you're acting like
what?
Yes,
bro. I don't, bro.
No.
Acting like Spencer Dinwiddie is like an all-star type player.
Yeah, legitimately, he's not.
He had for the last 4 years,
bro.
3 years. Sorry, 3 years.
Bro, Ben Simmons did that while he was in Philly, but more. And then on top of that, he was doing those numbers in Brooklyn until he got benched. You have to realize those factor. You have to realize the games that he
in Brooklyn. He's not had one good game as a net. One game as a net that compares to his peak in Philadelphia. He is a shell of himself right now. And if he's healthy, he will prove himself and he will get back into the starting lineup. But I'm not going to grandfather a player into a starting lineup because of what he did 3 years ago. If he is actively reaching those heights again as a player, you can start.
Guess what? The Brooklyn Nets do not have another better player except for Mikal Bridges than what Ben Simmons has done for his 3 years in Philadelphia. And that's a straight up fact.
He's not in Philly anymore.
Okay, but I'm saying it's still better. He's still been doing just as well.
The best player on this roster right now is Mikal Bridges.
Yes.
Mikal Bridges is the best player on this roster, bro. There's no way I'm bringing a healthy Ben Simmons off the bench at Spencer Dinwiddie's sake to be the point guard. There's no way. And we're acting like, why is it like he's on the bench or he's starting? Like, those two can start together, bro. Like Spencer Dinwiddie.
I can understand that. If you want to say that, if you want to just sacrifice Dinwiddie's playmaking and just say you want him and Simmons in the backcourt, like I can understand that. Yeah. You know, Dinwiddie at the 2 is a little suspect on defense, but you've got Claxton, and in this world we're assuming a healthy Ben Simmons. So assuming Simmons is healthy, he can take the good guard assignment in the backcourt.
So. I cannot wait for the season, bro. I can't wait.
We're gonna clip this entire argument.
Ben Simmons is going to have a crazy season.
Yeah. Either these two are right, and Simmons will will go back to like 20 and 10, and he'll be an all-star, or he's gonna be the Ben Simmons that of last year, where he's like 7 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, and it's not the same guy.
I promise you he's not, bro. I guarantee you he's not gonna be, bro. I think it's just easy to talk about Ben Simmons right now, like in that fashion. Yes, I understand he had a bad season last year. I get it, but role-wise,
he didn't play the year before that. Keep that in mind. His Philly years are now 3 seasons removed. He sat out a whole season and then had a terrible season. This is year 3.
Yes.
If he's going to be back to that player, he's got to show up. Like, it's now or never for Ben Simmons.
He will.
I wouldn't say
I'm telling you, bro, it's the first, I feel like the first year or two, obviously the first season, just straight up injury problems. But I feel like that was injury / the mental health aspect that happened, all the things that happened to him in Philly. He just wasn't ready to play basketball. Year 2, I feel like he kind of got out there, injury problems, but I feel like it was more fit. Like, they had Ben Simmons, but they didn't know how to implement him with the roster they had in place. We're talking about a ball-dominant guy who doesn't shoot threes, who likes the ball in his hand, specializes at driving and playmaking and defense. Okay, where do we put that in when we have Kyrie Irving, who is a way better offensive player, honestly, better ball handler, you could say, because, he's an ISO player, whatever. He has one of the best handles of all time. Then you have Kevin Durant, who just loves to have the ball in his hand. He's an isolation basketball player. Yes, he can play catch and shoot, but for the majority of the time, Kevin Durant likes to run that ISO. He likes to play people off that wing and get to his spots. So where do you put Ben Simmons in those lineups? You throw him in just to throw him in at the 4 or 5, honestly. So I think this year, with all those stars, those superstars cleared out, this gives Ben Simmons the perfect chance to show people who he is, get back in the lab, get that starting point guard spot back, get people involved, and just play his game, bro. I'm telling y'all, I'm not trying to overhype Ben Simmons, but I just feel like this is the year that he's going to earn his respect from the NBA back. That's just my honest opinion on it.
All right, guys. So clearly we had to take a little pause on our last recording. We're going to kind of combine these two and make them one YouTube video. So we do apologize about that. It's the same day. Same day. Exactly. So
if this looks different, I don't know why. Y'all are tripping.
Yeah. Anyway, we started talking about we ended talking about Ben Simmons and how he'll fit in the lineup, and we just decided, okay, bam, let's just forget about that. And now we're gonna talk. Yes, exactly. Now we're going to talk about this NBA Central tweet that kind of got some traction yesterday. Me and Max were talking about it a little while ago before we got Earl on it just now. But the NBA Central tweet says one gotta go, right? And it's between Boston Isaiah Thomas, Charlotte Kemba Walker, Toronto Kyle Lowry, and DC John Wall. So my response to all this was, well, I think Isaiah has to go. And you guys, and some people might not find this popular, but I have to remind everybody that Isaiah Thomas played one really good playoff series, and that was about it. He had a really good season, yeah, for where he was on the spectrum of where he was as an NBA player, but he really had only one good year in Boston. And then when he was traded to Cleveland, quite literally the next year, he was gone. He's quite literally out of the NBA. And not to say that he doesn't have NBA talent, because I still see him to this day cooking NBA players, right? Like, it's no doubt. But I guess he became such a liability on defense to the point where it was like your defense and your offense are like here and here. And it's like, I guess you don't want that on an NBA team. So my first response was Isaiah Thomas has to go. What do you guys think?
Okay, before we dig into this, I need to know what parameters are we arguing this question? Are we taking each player at their prime on this specific team, in which case like their best year or their best like few month stretch on this team, or are we taking the players' collective achievements on an organization? So Isaiah Thomas from the start of his Boston days to his end of his Boston days, is that the Isaiah Thomas we're arguing about, or are we arguing about the best Isaiah Thomas, the best John Wall, the best Kyle Lowry, etc.? Because that changes.
I think you would have to combine both of them and make a decision based on both.
Okay, but like this is not just 1 year. It's not just like we have 1 year to win a championship. We can take one of these players at their absolute best. Who are you taking? That's not what we're saying, right?
That what it's saying here, it's non-specific.
That's what I'm saying. Well, how are we arguing this? What is the context in which we are framing this? You can't just say one gotta go and give no context. Like, what is the goal here? Is it like we're starting a franchise and we're picking one of these players and we're getting all those years that they spent on the team they're shown in?
Let's hear what Earl has to say.
That page is about, bro. That page is literally about no context. We're just gonna throw this stuff out there and make everybody argue about it. So, context-wise,
well, there's no point in arguing if we don't know what we're arguing about. What am I arguing here?
Which one are you dropping, bro? That's just I don't know. That's the question.
But I don't know who to drop if I don't know like what like am I getting 2017 Isaiah Thomas, or am I getting all those years where Isaiah Thomas was not that great?
I mean, I guess hypothetically you would probably pick like the best, maybe just long. I don't know, bro. It's just
well, first of all, regardless of any situation, if you take any of these players in their prime outside of Isaiah Thomas, they're beating Isaiah Thomas. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? No. The height is there. Yeah. Maybe with Kyle Lowry, the heights might not be there, but he has so many other things in his arsenal that he can still cook Isaiah Thomas. And John Wall,
Thomas had the best single year of any of those players. None of those other two were ever an MVP candidate. Isaiah Thomas in 2017 was legitimately top 5 in MVP, or top like 6 or 7. He was an MVP candidate that year. So if we're talking about the best single season of any of those players, it's Isaiah Thomas. He also had the most years of being below those guys. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay, then maybe we would have to think about consistency in the sense where what's your longevity with the team? What are your accolades with the team in the time that you had?
Okay. So we're looking at, we're kind of like ranking them in terms of like kind of like a best of all, not like a best of all time sense, but like who had the best resume in terms of their time with that team. So
For
we're
the sake
including
of
all
argument, yes.
Okay.
For the sake of argument, yes.
Because that completely changes my answer. So.
All right, go for it.
Earl, you go first. I gotta think.
Whoa.
That completely changes my answer. Yeah, no, I don't know my
Okay,
answer.
for me.
Well, now because I gotta think about it. So convince me, Earl. Tell me who I should drop. I'm all ears.
So we have Isaiah Thomas,
Celtics, Isaiah.
Celtics Isaiah, Kemba Walker on Charlotte. Then we got Kyle Lowry in Toronto, and then we have John Wall of the Wizards. Jesus, like whoever made this list is crazy. First of all,
NBA Central, baby.
dang, I don't know, man. First of all, I'll start by saying this. I think they were all in their time. They all had moments where they were great guards in the NBA. Regardless, they all had times when they were great scorers. Not all these guys were great defenders. I will admit that. I don't know. I think it's just a hard question to answer. But my first thought was, I think as far as team success, fitting in the system, I would have to give that to Kyle Lowry. One, he was able to kind of mesh his game with Kawhi Leonard, which isn't really hard. I mean, it's Kawhi Leonard. But they were able to overcome a lot of stuff during that season and compete and win the championship. So first person, I guess I'll say is safe on my list would have to be Kyle Lowry. That's just respect factor for him. He's done what not every NBA player has had the chance to do, is win a championship. So I'll put him in tier A, just right there. Boom. Next safe person I would have to say is, dang, this is hard, bro.
Hang on,
Next.
just before you keep going, who's the fourth person? Is it Kemba Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Kemba. Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Continue.
Just to double confirm, Boston Isaiah Thomas, Charlotte Kemba Walker, Toronto Kyle Lowry, DC John Wall.
I'm stuck, bro, because I feel like Kemba Walker, correct me if I'm wrong, I know he's had playoff appearances, but for the most part, it's like first round exit, if I'm not mistaken. Like, somebody can fact check that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he had a lot of series where he's made the playoffs, but he's left very, very early. So,
yeah, but he's also had like no help throughout his time in Charlotte. He had Al Jefferson for what it was, however long that was. But what can Al Jefferson really do for Kemba Walker? And it showed like he didn't really do much. So when I'm looking at that, and I see that his individual accolades with that team, because even though they weren't really a playoff team, he was still a really good player. I kind of would have to look at his individual accolades, but only for him, really. I mean, everybody else, like DC faced Miami when they had LeBron, and I give John Wall all the respect in the world, and he fell off heavily.
see, that's what makes the argument hard, bro. Like,
All of these players fell off really bad, except for Kyle Lowry, because Kyle Lowry is still the only person that's on a team currently, and was just in the finals this year. I mean, you can obviously
Kyle
make
Lowry's impact though. He kind of fell off.
Yeah. I agree. That's also why he's also in this list. They might as well name this something else. Like, this shouldn't be one gotta go. This mean pick a better player than all of these players. Like,
to be honest, I really don't know if I have a legit answer for this. Like, I just don't. Like Max said, the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, I don't know what we're basing this off of. Like, me personally, I was basing it off of like just maybe like playoff success, but like you can't really do that with some teams. Some teams have better rosters, better fits for different players. So then what are we looking at? Individual stats. All these guys at times average pretty similar numbers for the most part in their prime seasons. And then if we're looking at that, like, are we looking at, I don't know, team success? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's one of the, this is a trap question, bro. It's really,
Thank
it's
you.
a trap question. There's no legitimate right answer for like just to straight up drop somebody off. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because we don't know what it's based off of.
well,
Exactly.
just
That's why I don't
for
really-
the sake of the question, let me answer this, because I feel like I have the clearest answer out of everybody. Isaiah Thomas has to go. I mean, I believe I said that before, but I mean, I look at all of these players' histories throughout everything. I know that Isaiah Thomas like had that really good year with Boston, but at the same time, I have to look at who he had with him and what they were doing. I see Kemba Walker was by himself. I see John Wall for the most part he was by himself until Bradley Beal came for. Was it the 3 years that they were together? I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, they had a good run. Him and Beal had some.
They
damn
had
good.
they had a really good run, and to say. Okay, let me put this in descending order. I'm definitely Kyle Lowry is safe. He's still on an NBA team today, and not a lot of players. Well, not any player on this list is on an NBA team today. So Kyle Lowry is
Omar,
safe.
I thought we were taking the players just on their tenures on this team. We're not taking like their careers as a whole. No, are we now taking their entire careers across all teams, or are we just doing like Toronto, Lowry, Boston, Isaiah? Because if that's what we're doing, then none of these players are still on their team.
All right.
Yeah,
no,
and for the fact of that,
you're right.
as a Boston Celtic, what's it called? Isaiah Thomas didn't average anything less than 19 points a game.
Yeah.
As a Celtic.
Isaiah made 2 All-Star teams in the 2 full years he was with Boston, and one of those he was an MVP candidate. So for that reason, I'll just kind of get into my thought process here a little bit. Like you said, Lowry, you look at what he did for Toronto. Some people argue he's the greatest Toronto Raptor of all time. He's definitely the most consistent. He was there for a long time, did a lot for that city, was a very big part of that championship. So I will give him safe. And he made 6 All-Star teams for Toronto, which is very, very impressive. 6 All-Star teams for the team mentioned is more than any of these other guys. So that on top of the championship makes Lowry safe. I would argue that probably in terms of talent at his peak, he was probably the lowest. But we're taking the all-encompassing career with that team. So we're factoring that into it. Lowry is definitely good. I'm keeping John Wall. Again, he did have a lot of good runs with Washington. He had some playoff success, not a ton, but he did, I believe, get Washington into the second round at least one year. I believe he did win at least one playoff series for Washington. Someone can fact check me on that, but I think he did. Made a good amount of all-star teams, was consistently 20+, was one of the best point guards in the league throughout his tenure. So I'll keep me some John Wall. Between Isaiah Thomas and Kemba Walker, I mean, again, we're splitting hairs here. They're both fantastic, but I'm going to drop Kemba Walker. He only made 2 All-Star teams in, I think, his 5 or 6 or 7 years. Actually, probably more than that. He spent almost a decade on the Bobcats / Charlotte, and he only made 2 All-Star teams. Isaiah Thomas made 2 All-Star teams in 2 seasons with Boston, so way higher percentage. Isaiah's peak on his team, Boston, was, again, like I've been saying, damn near 30 points a game, led the NBA in fourth quarter scoring, was lighting the league up, brought Boston all the way as far as he could. Then he got a hip injury, which derailed his entire career. But before that hip injury, he was a legitimate top 10 player, maybe top 5 in the whole league that year. So that playoff success right there is more than anything Kemba Walker accomplished in his entire tenure. Again, didn't have many pieces around him, but we can only look at what we were given. Kemba in the playoffs with Charlotte, for a multitude of reasons, never got the chance to show what he was capable of, which is unfortunate. But in terms of playoff success, I have to give the nod to Isaiah Thomas. So from that perspective, I have to drop Kemba Walker again. Only 2 All-Star teams in his entire tenure. Never really had much playoff success. Was never a legitimate top 10 player in the NBA. And all those other 3 guys have at least one of those things on their resume. So for that reason, I'll drop Kemba Walker. But that's not to disrespect Kemba Walker. You're putting him against 3 fantastic point guards. And there was a stretch in the league where Kemba Walker was a top point guard. And he was hooping and balling out and doing all he can to take Charlotte as far as they could. So this is not saying Kemba's a bad player. There's no disrespect to Kemba. I still think he's a good player. I saw him in the Knicks a couple years ago. The guy can still play. It's just injuries and bad front office management. There's a whole multitude of reasons why he doesn't quite have the playoff success of some of these other guys. But as an individual talent, Kemba Walker was still fantastic. So I don't want this to come off as a knock against any of these guys. Just because I'm dropping Kemba doesn't mean that I think he's a bum or anything.
No, that
For
was
sure.
Well said. So I guess we can move on to really what was going on Twitter yesterday. Another NBA Central tweet about Jalen Brunson earlier today. I love me some Jalen Brunson, but even I saw it and I was like, what the fuck is even going on? We know how much I love Jalen Brunson, right? Everybody collectively knows I love that man to death, right? But he's not better than Ja Morant.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it fully. How can anybody even be yeah, that all-star player is better than Jalen Brunson, or is that guy on the New York Knicks is better than Ja Morant?
Look,
He's not. We can move on.
look, I'll say this too. The person who quoted this has to be a Knicks fan. That's the only way you wake up in the morning and decide to quote tweet some crazy foolishness like this. In no universe is Jalen Brunson a better player than John Morant. I've been on this. I talked about John Morant about his decisions in the past. Obviously, haven't agreed with him fully, but come on, man, John Morant, the basketball player. Let's just not disrespect his gameplay like that. Not saying Jalen Brunson's a bad player either. That's not what I'm saying. They're just not on the same level of play. Respectfully, of course. I know you guys are Knicks fans, but come on, bro. Why are we putting these quotes out there in the internet, man? And just to get clicks at this point, it's crazy. That's all I got to say about it, bro.
Respectfully, he's not John Morant. Next.
He's not
Yep.
John Morant. Yeah, it was a little.
Let's
crazy.
just ask Knicks fans this: would you rather have John Morant or Jalen Brunson?
Oh my god! Don't even get me started.
Okay. All I'll say is I like what we have right now with Brunson, so I'm not gonna be. You never, it's like the grass is always greener on the other side, but like you never know. Like I'm plenty happy with Brunson. If you throw John into this mix, I don't know what happens. With Brunson, I know we're a solid playoff team. So from that phrasing, I'll keep Brunson. Like I'm plenty happy to have him, and like I like his leadership.
You guys would say John Morant.
I think the fact that New York is an open carry state really scares me, and the fact that John Morant might be there. So.
In terms of just like on the court stuff, like of course John Morant's a better player.
Yeah.
So and that seems to be the argument that guy was making, which is ludicrous. I mean, we'll see in 5 years, but like right
he
now,
doesn't play enough, so he's better. So Jalen Brunson is better. Like, I mean, people can make that take if the player hasn't played like due to injuries, but this guy's just hasn't played because he's a freaking dumbass. Let's be honest. Right?
And somebody in the chat, bro. This is why I hate stats sometimes too. Somebody in the chat was comparing 2020, like not the whole season. They were just comparing like 2023 stats of the season to Jalen Brunson and John Morant. So it's kind of misleading. Yeah, everybody had like really inflated. Like I can go do that with Anthony Davis. He had crazy numbers in 2023 compared to 2020, like 2/3. So I think
can pick out a 10-game stretch where Michael Beasley was legitimately a top 5 player in the NBA.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean anything though.
I'm like, bro, y'all stat nerds, you gotta chill out, bro. I respect some of the stats, but come on, let's not negate half of a season, and just say he's a better player. I don't know. It's just crazy.
This is why I don't like StatMuse pages, because most of like the team-based stat, like StatMuse as like a general is fine, but like the team-based like Looney Muse or Curry Muse or Brunson Muse or Knicks Muse, like all these muses, they just block out like any stat that is not convenient to their argument. Like they just excuse anything that does not benefit the agenda they're pushing. That's not how stats work.
All right, let's get into it. Giannis or Embiid, Max?
Giannis, next.
Me too. All right, because Embiid, only because you don't want us to have Giannis. That's why. But there's some news rumors circling around about Giannis wanting to ask out. A bunch of teams in the mix, kind of monitoring the situation. One being the Knicks, of course. We're obviously like we're in everything, right? We're in everything.
I wasn't anything.
We know what you did, Earl. We know what you did.
It's not real.
I honestly couldn't tell because it's mirrored. Can't spell backwards.
Giannis doesn't want out. He's not leaving the Bucks. He's not going to the Knicks. He's not going to. I seen that list too. He's not going to any team on that list, bro. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that guy.
Okay, fine. But if he were to leave, where would he go?
I don't know.
We'd probably be up there, but like
because that's the thing. But that's the thing, though. We have the ability to do it. I want to talk about the strict ability to do it. On that list, we look at that list that it tends to be looking at Giannis. Who has the best package? We got the best package. That's how it is.
Always have the best package.
I know, but we have to acknowledge something. There is a new era in New York. We are trying to earn the respect of millions back after what that dumbass James Dolan did. We are trying so hard. Leon Rose is trying so hard.
The Julius Erving era. I'm at Julius Randle. My bad.
Wrong Julius, bro. One was an all-time great. One's a mid on.
See, I can't even remember his real name. I love when
Dr. J played on the Knicks. Those were my favorite years.
Look, bro,
hey, he didn't play on the Knicks.
Hey, we weren't alive, but hell yeah.
Yeah. Wrong team, same area-ish.
Same area. They were in New Jersey at that time. They were where I am.
They were also in the ABA, no?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was on the Nets in the NBA.
Yeah,
So
the
entirely
NBA.
wrong league, but it's fine.
And it's like they
man.
merged. That's the only reason why he's in the league.
That's
But
the only Julius I know.
that's the only that's so foul. That's so foul.
What'd he say?
That's the only Julius I know. But no, on a legitimate
What are we talking
standpoint,
about?
yeah, I know what we're talking about.
We're
I'm the
talking
only
about
one staying
Knicks-
on track here. All right.
Knicks fans thinking they're getting Giannis. Is
We
the
are,
conversation.
all right? There's a legitimate chance. I want you to acknowledge there's a legitimate chance because the fact is that Giannis is upset with his current situation in Milwaukee.
He's not.
But has he
Yes,
said
he
that? He's
is.
never
No, he's
said
not.
that.
How
Bro,
do
he
you know?
wouldn't be coming out and saying it if saying
Wouldn't
like,
he
"Oh,
come
if
out
I
and
have to
say it?
leave, I'll leave."
But every star
That's like-
says that. They say
Yeah,
if
that's
the
like saying the
things
sky
aren't
is
in
blue.
place,
Like,
if the
of course,
things aren't in
he's
place to
literally
win a
just saying-
championship, I'm gone. That's
Okay.
literally all he said.
Okay, but 80% of when players say that, the player is 80% of the
number,
time.
bro.
Bro,
You're stat mule now. Where does
no,
this
no, no, no,
80%
no,
come
no.
from?
James
Lamar
Harden. James Harden is strictly 50% of that alone. Okay.
what is this metric?
See, numbers just fly out of nowhere. Like 80% of the NBA thinks that Giannis
No,
is going
dude. I'm okay.
no
I'm
way.
asking of the percentage of people that are asking out of trades. There's not many people asking out. That's what I'm trying to get at.
But
The
he didn't
only
ask out though.
he's going to.
All Giannis is saying is that I want to be wherever I can win a championship. If that's in Milwaukee, great. As long as Milwaukee continues to build a contending team around me, I'd love to be here. Which is great. That gives me. If I'm a Bucks fan, that's what I want to hear from Giannis. Because it's like, okay, we have built a great team around him. He's won a championship. The only reason Giannis would leave Milwaukee, like for non-basketball reasons, is like, you know, you could argue like, oh, maybe he wants to go play in a big market. He clearly doesn't. He just wants to play winning basketball. So Milwaukee's like, great. All we got to do is give him good talent, which we have always done, and he will continue to be on our team. Great.
Yep.
Everyone wins.
Yep.
He's not just gonna ditch Milwaukee for New York because like he wants to play under the bright lights. Giannis isn't that kind of player. So he's only gonna ask out unless Milwaukee tanks in these next few years, which they're not going to do.
It's
Let's
just
just say
based
he'll
on the
rather dunk over your
injuries.
players than play with them.
It's just based on the injuries that. Excuse me.
You
I'm
heard me,
sorry.
Omar?
No, I didn't.
I said let's just say he'll rather dunk over your players than play with them right now.
Yeah, I mean he's good in Milwaukee. As long as Milwaukee's good, he'll be
All
there.
All right, I'm bringing up this debate, and I might get flamed for it. In your most true, honest opinion, Drew Holiday or Jalen Brunson? And I know
Drew Holiday,
Drew Holiday.
playmaking, defensive minutes, and he can get a bucket whenever he wants. Bro, Drew Holiday has such a big bag. He has a offensive bag that he doesn't use all the time. Like Drew can go out there and drop 40. We've seen it. If he has the ball in his hand, he can go out there and drop 40. But he focuses on playmaking, playing defense, and making sure that Giannis gets the ball, bro.
I don't see the difference between him and Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson himself had 5 40-point games this year.
Okay, they're very different.
Brunson is
players.
not
That's not
close
negotiable.
as a defender, bro. Because where was that defense? on
I'll
Team USA?
admit, he's a little lackluster on defense. Jalen Brunson.
Compared to Drew Holiday, it's worlds apart, bro.
I wouldn't say worlds.
I mean, Drew Holiday is one of the best, if not the best, defenders in the league. I would say he's the best defensive guard in the league.
You're killing me.
I would still take Brunson. Maybe that's my Knicks bias.
I would still say
Marginal.
Brunson.
No,
too.
that's
like-
reasonable. Yeah.
I feel
I
like
still
they're
think it's
closer
about
than
fit
you're
too,
letting
but-
on, Earl. I feel like they're a lot closer in defense than you're letting on. Because he's
Not
not
in defense.
He's not a
Offense, yeah.
defensive menace, Jalen Brunson, but he's still efficient enough to like be on your ass about it.
Who is Jalen Brunson locking out in the NBA?
Brunson's a negative defender. That
Is
is
he really?
He's
I
not a
gotta look up
defender,
the
bro.
stat on that. I gotta look up the stat.
Bro, go check stat mules again.
He is significantly worse than the average guard in terms of defense.
I
If for
do
no other
respect
reason than his
it.
height.
I
He
do
does take a
respect
lot
the
of charges. I'll give him that. He's
Yeah.
fantastic at taking charges. But in terms of straight up one-on-one defense, like you said, he's not going to lock anyone down. if a defender has Jalen Brunson on him, they're going to go to work. You typically have to hide Jalen Brunson on the non-offense, like the non-isolation guy. Like you have to put him on like the corner sitters, which is a big liability because typically there's a height difference there as well. So if someone has if a ball dominant, like a good isolation player has Jalen Brunson on him, they will go to work and they will cook. Like
let's just say this, guys.
I'm still taking Brunson, but I'm not gonna Drew Holiday. I expect the hell out of Drew Holiday's defense. He's an all-time great defender that people don't talk about.
But let's just say this, bro. If I'm an NBA player, I'm looking on my calendar. If I see Jalen Brunson on my calendar, I know I'm gonna have a good day. If I say Drew Holiday, I'm doing 2 workouts that morning. Respectfully.
Then
but
you're
I think
respectfully bugging. What?
No, bro. People get buckets on Jalen Brunson. I'm not saying he's a terrible defender, but compared to Drew Holiday, you gotta be ready to have a good game versus Drew Holiday.
Okay,
offensively.
I can understand that.
But I am saying as far as offensive production, yeah, I could give Brunson the edge because he consistently does that. I feel like Drew Holiday kind of goes back and forth with it. But as far as consistent numbers, I haven't looked at the numbers from last season. I don't know who averaged more points per game, but I would assume it's Jalen Brunson. I'm not sure.
But I can get those up.
Yeah. But
I give him that edge for sure.
Look, I can understand and respect that, but at the same time, you have to look because yes, we understand that Jalen Brunson defensively is not that great. We have to look at everything else. Everything else they're asking him to do. They're asking him to be that playmaker. They're asking him to be that scorer. They're not really putting him in the defension. They're not really putting him in a position to be a defensive menace. And I'm not saying he would be on any type of level. I know he's not. I'm not. Yeah. He's right. He's right there for me. I'm sorry. He's a great player, but he's right there for me.
New homework assignment. I need you to go watch. Just watch like 10 random Knicks games.
Bro, I watched almost every game this year.
No, I'm saying just rewatch it from an unbiased standpoint and watch him on defensive seat. And then watch 10 Drew Holiday games and compare. Just random games.
I'll agree that Drew Holiday is the better defender. Like that's no doubt in my mind. Like if you need to be able to on Milwaukee where they're at that point, I don't think they had I don't want to say that because they had Brook Lopez and they have the height. I'm gonna scratch that. I was about to say that Milwaukee didn't have great defense, but that was a complete lie. I'm not gonna lie. I was about to be like, that's why I was like, wait, no, they have Brook Lopez, they have Giannis. Like, what am I saying?
Please. They are one of the best, if not
the best. Exactly. No, exactly. Don't get me wrong. I was about to be like,
top
wait,
5 in blocks per game, or am I tripping? This season he was top 5.
Mitchell Robinson alone.
Yeah. Bro,
okay. It's a block party, bro. It's a block party.
Here's what I'll say. Here's the argument that I'm going to make for Jalen Brunson. Again, we are talking about, you want to talk about splitting hairs. I think they're, in terms of just pure player value on the court, I think they're almost extremely similar. If we were to, rank every point guard in the NBA, they're probably, it's going to be, Brunson at, 5 and Holiday at 6, or Brunson at 8.
Agreed.
They're right next to each other in terms of ranking. They're two very different players, but I would say their value on the court is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Holiday absolutely does put up the better all-around numbers other than points per game. He's still at 19 points. He averaged 19 points per game this past week for Milwaukee. Brunson was 24. So, of course, you give Brunson the nod in terms of points. You give Brunson the nod in terms of, straight up, offensive bag. Drew Holiday does have a bag. Like you said, he can go drop 40. He has that in him. In terms of consistency, obviously, you give Brunson the nod. Overall stats, in terms of rebounds, assists, steals, you give Holiday the nod there. Of course, the defensive stats that don't show up on the box score is a huge discrepancy in terms of Drew Holiday. But the reason why I'm going to put Brunson just that wee bit ahead of Holiday is because the kind of scoring that Jalen Brunson has shown at times, and specifically what he did in the second round, what he was able to do in the playoffs at times, that kind of game-changing he has the ability to take over a game offensively and get whatever shot he wants whenever he wants and make those shots at an extremely high percentage. The rate and consistency at which he's able to score against very good defenses, the Miami Heat, were absolutely doing everything they could to stop him. They were throwing the entire 5-man team at him, and he was still able to get buckets on them. He was still able to drop 30 and 40 on that team, despite him being the entire focus of the team. They weren't guarding RJ, they weren't guarding Randall. It was all Brunson had to do everything offensively in that series, and yet he still did. He got us within a hair's reach of getting to a Game 7 against the Heat. That kind of game-changing offensive talent and the ability to go against whatever defense is thrown at you and still produce points, that is so rare in the NBA. Having that on your team, having a player that can do that has the capability to do that, wins you games and wins you playoff series and can win you championships by itself. Like, there is very few players who, in terms of just when push comes to shove, it's clutch time, you have to get buckets, the defense is tight, everyone's focusing on you. There's a lot of great isolation players that can do it, for most of the game into the third quarter, can do it during the regular season, but when the defense is really being played, you see their numbers drop. Brunson maintains those, at least going off of what he did this year for the Knicks. Granted, it was 1 year, but this past year, he not only maintained those numbers, but he stepped up his game in the biggest moments in the fourth quarter. That right there, for that reason alone, I'm going to give Brunson the slightest of slight edges against Jrue Holiday, because that kind of scoring does not come around often. And there's a lot of great scorers who don't necessarily do that. That's the kind of scoring that, is what made Kobe Bryant so great, is what makes LeBron so great, is what makes Durant so great. I'm not comparing him. I'm just saying that ability to take over the game with your offensive talent is extremely, extremely rare. And that is what separates a lot of the all-time greats from just the greats, in my opinion. So for that reason, if Brunson can continue to show that, I think he showed it this year, and I think he's capable of continuing that. So that, for me, gives him the slightest edge over Jrue Holiday. But again, I think in terms of just total overall value of their basketball games, they're extremely, extremely similar. And Holiday, like I said, he's an all-time great defender. Not going to take that away from him. But Brunson, it's a league that values scoring over everything, right? The NBA is an offensive league these days. Maybe in the 90s, I would give Jrue Holiday the edge because he has that all-time great defense. But with the way the game is played now, where points mean everything, and it's an offensive-based league, that's how the calls go, that's how the reffing goes, that's how the games go. It's a point-scoring league. A guy like Brunson who can score points anytime, anywhere, however he wants, consistently, you don't get that very often.
Yeah, and not to mention that he made an immediate impact on the Knicks. He brought them from in the playoff, out of the playoff team to an immediate contender. I mean, not a contender, but a good, long-lasting playoff team. And Earl, I know you're laughing, but next year,
I'm not.
No. Next year, we're gonna be contending, and you're going to see it for yourself. We're going to see it for yourself. And you know how he'll be leading the charge.
Ooh.
Julius Randle.
I mean, listen, Omar, we can talk about contending all we want, but Holiday won a championship on Milwaukee.
No doubt.
Give that edge.
No doubt.
He has proven he can be a third. Holiday was the third best player on a championship.
What's Jalen Brunson's ring size?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. We did just get married, so actually we can't find out.
We probably can find out. But that's about it, guys. We're gonna wrap it up from here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna do our little magic thing and then post this on the internet later. But everybody have a great. Yes, exactly. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much. Peace out.
Adios.